Unless otherwise indicated, all the following scripture quotations are taken from the Holy Bible, New Living Translation, with copyright by Tyndale Foundation, used by permission of Tyndale House Publishers, all rights reserved.
Hi, I'm Peachy Pie. Welcome back to my channel, and this is a mini applause for you. Why do you get a mini applause? Because you're quite simply amazing, and because you deserve it, and because you made it through yesterday and today. And since I have faith that you're gonna make it through to tomorrow, why don't you just hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you can be here when I post another video. Okie dokie, let's talk about the amazing Madrigals one more time. Y'all, every time I think I'm done with Encanto, another theory just pops into my head out of nowhere, and I guess I just have to address it because I really love Encanto so much. Okie dokie, so let's get into it. Today we're going to be talking about why do the Madrigals have those specific powers. I was wondering what's the relevance to the world of Encanto, to the Encanto itself, and to the family of Madrigals and the village that they are basically sort of like they are protecting, or the village that was built because of the Encanto. So we're going to first take a look at breaking down the Madrigals into the generations, and then we're going to take a look at what each of these powers are for each family member and what the whole thing looks like. There's a lot of noise around here. Anyway, okay, so before I get started on that, YouTuber Carlson made an excellent video explaining the ages of all the Madrigals in order, and so I will link that in the description. And yeah, that's just really the basis for why I'm mentioning the Madrigals in this specific order. Okie dokie. And I'll also put a card around here somewhere. Okay, so in the first generation we've got Abuela on her own. Obviously, you should have seen the movie by now. I can't tell you to watch it so many times. Anyway, second generation we've got Julieta and Pepa and Bruno, and then the third generation of Madrigals, we're just talking about the biological Madrigals now. We've got Isabella, Luisa, Mirabel, Dolores, Camilo, and Antonio. And as you know, Bruno doesn't have any children because I guess no one wants to talk about or talk to Bruno. Anyway, okay, so now we're going to take a look at what was happening in the background of that first generation, and then we're going to talk about like what powers were introduced and why, right? So in the first for the first generation, which is Abuela, right, what was happening was the building of a new home, the start of the Encanto, the haven for the people that were displaced or persecuted, right? And so even though Abuela doesn't technically have any powers, the Encanto technically is her power, because its purpose was to protect her and the villagers and to help her raise a family as a single parent. You can see why that would be useful for someone that has triplets and has no one else to assist them in raising this family. So a magical house would be really helpful, even for stay-at-home moms as well. Okay, so in the second generation, the background for that was there are potential threats on the outside of this whole place where the Encanto is taking place, on the outside of the mountains essentially, right? And so what else was happening was the establishment of this haven. So they're not necessarily in immediate danger, but the threat is possibly still around them, right? So for the second generation gifts, right, Julieta, who's the oldest, her gift is the food that she makes heals people, and her purpose obviously would be to heal the people of the village in case of war and also to prevent death. Interesting, isn't it? Pepa, her mood can obviously control the weather, and the purpose of that type of gift would be some sort of defense system and a possible tool for a food and water source, right? So I imagine she would probably have to be upset in order to make it rain, or crying to make it rain, so that they could grow crops and get water, or fresh water and stuff. But it's a useful tool nonetheless for a budding society, so to speak, right? And then Bruno, whose gift is obviously to see visions of the future, can warn of impending danger. So you've got, in this second generation, you've got a warning system, a potential food source, you've also got a potential defense system, and a person that has got this sort of healing characteristics. So in case of war, all these three gifts are established that can help sustain the town and help the people be strong enough to fight back against the opposers or captors, right? Now in the third generation, the background that we have here is it's a time of peace. The village is starting to thrive. People have been building, families have been growing. We get that in the song of the family Madrigal, where we see the Madrigals helping the people build the town, right? So Isabella, who is the oldest, obviously making flowers bloom is her gift. Her purpose would be to add color and joy, right? And then later on, as she learns the extent of her powers, you could say it's possible that her powers enable her to be a possible defense system by growing carnivorous plants and also by growing like sharp kind of plants like desert roses and those kind of things as a sort of fence around the Encanto, because that's now a possibility that she can do something. And I also thought to myself, there's a possibility that she has the ability to create a food source from the type of plants that she can make or grow. So I thought that was quite interesting that this is happening in the third generation, right? Then the Lotus, who has super hearing, the purpose essentially could be like spying, which is kind of iffy in terms of gifts in my opinion, but it's possible that she can hear threats to the Encanto inside and outside of the Encanto, which is quite phenomenal if you think about it, right? So the Lotus could overhear the conversation between Mirabel and Agustin, who is Mirabel's father, about something that's a potential threat to the Encanto. That's in the Encanto, she could hear that. And so it's sort of like the Encanto is kind of creating a space in which it's protecting itself. She could also hear like the twitching of Luisa's eye, which is again an internal threat to the Encanto. So I thought it might be possible for her to hear the external threats as well, right? Yeah, she could also have potential assistive qualities like being able to hear someone in danger or someone needing assistance from a distance and being able to pass messages and those kind of things. I thought those were quite unique qualities, especially for wartime. If the characters or the Madrigals ever had to enter into war or were threatened, right? So you're really starting to see this Encanto creating a sort of space where it can protect itself by utilizing certain powers that it gives the Madrigals. Okay. Luisa. Obviously, Luisa has super strength, which is protective and assistive in nature and helping to rebuild the town. That's quite on the nose, really. Then Camilo shapeshifts, that's his ability. And there's also potential for spying in there, and then he also has some assistive qualities, which is helping to shapeshift into someone taller so that he can help put things up higher, or to shapeshift into the mother of a child so that the child can be calmed and the mother can get rest and those kind of things. So there's this assistive qualities, and these are sort of like non kind of defensive gifts over there. It's more like building the society now from that emotional perspective, not just from the physical perspective, which is quite unique in the third generation. So Mirabel's power, as you know, she doesn't really have a gift, right? But arguably her gift is not to have a gift, so that she can be the go-between between the villagers and the Madrigals, and also to possibly be a sense of like relief and sort of like a therapeutic element to the Madrigals who have different kind of powers. That's at least what I thought about Mirabel, and I made a video about it, which I will link a card for here. I think that's the corner. Anyway, yeah, and then Antonio, who is the youngest, has a gift in which he talks to animals, and he can essentially control them through persuasion or request, if you want to put it that way. It's not a very nice way to put it, but you can see in the movie where the tiger tries to eat a rat, then Antonio says, "Hey, don't eat those," and the tiger goes, "Oh," but he steps back. So that kind of sees that he's got this sort of like a friendly bond with the animals, and that led me to thinking that for Antonio's gift, the purpose for him is protective, in which the animals can alert them to danger. You must remember that the very first time we see his gift being used, he speaks to or understands a bird, a toucan, I believe. and so the birds can alert them to danger that's coming from far away. And another thing is that through sort of persuasion or talk, Antonio can potentially ask the animals to help and defend the Encanto and defend the city where all these villages are, right? So, what can we see in Generation 1 and 2? The Encanto seems like it prepared the Madrigals for war, or for the potential of war, right? But in Generation 3, it seems like the Encanto is preparing the Madrigals for peacetime and for having an opportunity to thrive, not in a place of war, but to still be on guard and protected in case there is the threat of war, and they now have these tools to defend themselves, which is quite phenomenal, right? Also remember that the mountains in Encanto, like that separates the Encanto and this little village from outsiders, breaks in the middle, right? Indicating that there's like a whole new world out there, but there's also a whole new list of threats and dangers. And so, because at that point the Madrigals don't have powers, they kind of have to band together and sort of build emotionally and build together as people rather than just as individuals with gifts, so that they can work together to protect the Encanto further, or protect the town, so to speak, further. I thought this was quite interesting, you know, that they have to learn to work together if they want to protect everyone from the external sources, right? And so only after they've learned this lesson of working together do their powers return to them, and that offers them and the villagers more protection, right? So yeah, like I said before, arguably the reason for them breaking, or for the breaking down of the Encanto, was that they could work on this emotional element and emotional healing and building, and not just the physical healing and building, which had been going on all along. Yeah, okie dokie. So if you I'm wondering what you are thinking so far about this theory, and about why the Madrigals had these certain powers, and why each person was given these powers. Maybe you've got something to say about what these powers do or say about reflecting the individual, you know, those kind of things. I would love to read your comments. I would love to read your theories. Encanto just has so much to talk about and so much to think about, and how it affects all the people within the Encanto, and actually how it affects us as an audience. And I freaking love every last little bit of it. So yeah, so let me know in the comments what you think, and also please, I would love it if you could like and subscribe as well. That would be absolutely phenomenal. And stay tuned for your scripture of the day. Your scripture of the day comes from Isaiah 5 verse 18 to 19, which says, "What sorrow for those who drag their sins behind them with ropes made of lies, who drag wickedness behind them like a cart. They even mock God and say, 'Hurry up and do something. We want to see what you can do. Let the Holy One of Israel carry out his plan, for we want to know what it is.'" So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. All of the links will be available in the description, and I would love it if you could have a phenomenal evening, because you deserve it. Cheers.